What's up everyone? Today's video is about campervan plumbing. Everything from freshwater to the gray water system and everything in between. If you're building a van and not sure where to start with plumbing, this video is for you. Campervan plumbing. It could be as basic as having a water container with a bucket, or you can have a full setup with all the same comforts you have in your house with hot water and a shower. In this video, I'll show you the basics of campervan plumbing so you'll have the confidence to design a system for your own campervan. When I started building my van, I was clueless on how a plumbing system works. My experience with plumbing has been limited to changing leaky faucets or leaky toilets, but designing an entire system from scratch was way beyond me. So of course, I turned to the internet and YouTube to do as much research as possible. This is the video I wish existed when I was building my van. At first, I was so overwhelmed by it all with too many components to learn. How do I know what goes with what? How do I know what I need? How will I know if everything I got will go together? The questions went on and on forever. Then as I did more and more research, I had a eureka moment. This is the concept that made everything make sense for me. All a plumbing system is a connection of hoses, tubes, connectors, and valves. Once the system is pressurized, water will come out wherever the pressure is relieved by opening a valve or a faucet. So let me explain. If you look at our plumbing system, all these hoses and wires and tubes are connected together and airtight. Once the system is pressurized by either the pump or connected to city water, nothing will happen until the pressure is relieved in the system by either opening a valve or turning on the faucet. The pressurized water will escape. Does that make sense? Let me walk you through our system and I'll share some tips and tricks afterward. Our system has a 16-gallon freshwater tank, 4-gallon electric water heater, and a 14-gallon gray water under the van. It can be pressurized in two ways, the water pump or through the city water from outside. We have 3 faucets, sink, shower, and outdoor shower. Faucets will have 2 connection hoses, one for cold water and one for hot water. All the cold water lines are connected to the cold water lines in the faucets, and all the hot water is connected to the hot water lines on through all 3 faucets. If you look at this mess of connectors, it can be overwhelming. But think of it this way. The entire plumbing system is connected to the main cold water line right here. Let's take a look at the system from freshwater to gray water. Our system can get water 2 ways, from the city hookup from the outside or from the freshwater tank. The inlet is a regular garden hose hookup with a quick disconnect connected to it. The inlet has a check valve. A check valve only lets water flow one way. Water can go in, but it can't come out. Without the check valve, the water would just shoot out once it's pressurized from the inside. The city water is connected to the main water line, and once it's connected, the system is pressurized and all the faucets will work. When the hot water valve is open on the faucets, cold water will flow into the heater and come out as hot water, which is then connected to the hot water hoses on the faucet. The hot and cold water will mix in the valve and give you warm water depending on which way you have the water set. To go off-grid or disconnect from city water, we open this valve to fill the tank. Once we disconnect from the city water, the pressure is gone, so you have to use a water pump to pump water from the tank coming out from the bottom over there and into the main water lines. There is a check valve inside this pump that prevents water from backflowing back into the tank, and it maintains the pressure inside the main line. This clear hose is for overflow protection and to vent the tank. This big black thing right here is an accumulator tank. It helps keep the pressure in the line without the pump running constantly. Without this, the pump will run constantly anytime you have the water running. So the pump will turn on to pressurize the line and the accumulator tank, then cycle on and off based on the pressure in the line. Under our sink, you can see where the main water line goes through right here, and it is connected to the 2 connectors on the back of our shower. And also we have a water filter coming off the main line here. Oops, can't see this. This is the water coming in, and then it filters, and then it goes up to the sink water. So under the sink, we have a little P-trap. This little trap does 2 things. One, if you drop anything in the sink, you can easily unhook this and grab it. So if you drop your ring or whatever, and also it's called a P-trap because it helps seal out stinky smells. So when water comes down here, a little bit of water will stay in the bottom of this, and it'll prevent smells from coming from the gray water and back up into your sink. So the sink goes down here and drains down into the bottom of the van over there. As far as the gray water, we drilled a 2.5-inch hole on the bottom of our van floor, and this drain right here falls right through that hole and right into the 3-inch opening on the gray water tank. The sink water feeds into this drain with a little T-valve. When I designed the gray water system, the gray water opening is a 3-inch opening, and the pipe we have draining into the gray water is a 2.5-inch. So we got a big hole and a 2.5-inch pipe that goes in. The reason why we designed it this way is that if we overflow the gray water, the water will just flow out the side of the 3-inch hole. If your drain pipe and your opening on the gray water is the same, say it was a 2-inch opening and we have a 2-inch pipe draining down into it, if the gray water tank overflows, the water will just flow up into the drain instead of flowing on the outside of the opening of the gray water. And this is how we drain the water from the tank if we're winterizing it. The water just flows out the bottom of the van. These are for the water meters in our freshwater tank, and there's one in the gray water tank also. I'll put links for all the components we use in the system in the description below. Everything is hooked up with PEX tubing. PEX tubing is pretty much used in all homes built in the past 15 to 20 years. In fact, a few years ago, we had a big winter storm in Texas and one of our pipes burst. Using the knowledge I learned from building the van, I was able to isolate and fix the broken pipe using the PEX equipment I had left over from building the van. Here's one modification I highly recommend you do for your freshwater tank. I cut a hole in the top of my water tank and put a Tupperware style lid on top. This gives you the option for filling the tank by pouring water into it. There have been so many times when we've been traveling and couldn't find a garden hose hookup to fill up our tank from outside. With an opening in your tank, it allows you to use a bucket and fill up water anywhere, like at a rest stop sink or even a water fountain, or if the water source is just too far for your hose to reach. Another modification we love is an electronic gray water valve. We had a regular mechanical valve, the kind you have to like physically pull with your hand, but our seals kept getting stuck or it just constantly leaked. We installed this electronic valve about 3 years ago and it's worked flawlessly ever since. That's Campervan plumbing in a nutshell. When you're designing your own system, just start with a cold water line and connect everything to it. The city water, fresh water tank, your pump, accumulator, hot water tank, and all the faucets. The check valves in the city water hookup and the water pump will keep the lines pressurized. I know it's a lot of information. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I'll try my best to help you out. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.